Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being a part of the show. Happy New Year. We are back. For those who sent messages early, I just fired up the text machine, so resend them again if you will. Resend them again if you will. Anyway, welcome aboard. Lee Grant is in the house from Montgomery County. Paul Fleming's in the house from Powder Springs, Georgia. We also have Eric Hayes in the house from Kingwood, Tascosita. Welcome, folks. How is everybody doing? Did I miss anybody? I got to look at two different feeds until we get all the feeds coalescing. Let's see who else is in here. Let me see. Looks like I got everybody. Anyway, folks, welcome aboard. Patrick Magner is in the house. How you doing, Patrick? Happy New Year. I hope you had some good food. I hope you had some good food and also some good stuff to do over the New Year. I had a good time over the New Year. In fact, this was the first Christmas dinner that we had. We usually have these big Christmases since my mother-in-law died, but anyhow, we are going to have a good show for you today. How's everybody doing? Let's see who's here. Who else is here? Lee Grant says, Happy Epiphany and congrats to Trump. You would say that. Eric Hayes says, Fareed on progressive government and results on domestic and foreign policy. Well, I don't know if Fareed is the authority on progressive and liberal stuff, but, what can I say? Anyway, folks, how was your Christmas? Anybody wants to call in before I get my first video started and let me know anything that you want to know, anything you want to tell me. I've been away for almost, over a week and change, doing a whole lot of stuff. Anybody wants to give me a call, 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. Yeah, that's a number. In case anybody want to say anything before I start my video. First time back. I did a video on something my daughter had to say. I did another video on what else did we hear? What else? Hey all, sad day for the intelligent people. That's about right. And I did, you know what? I did something this morning. That's the first one I'm going to play. Let me see if let me go ahead and pull that up. I have two wrong ones that I loaded, but let me go ahead and load what I did this morning at KPFT. But Ray's in. Happy New Year, Ray. How you doing, my dear brother?
Happy New Year, brother Egberto. I'm glad that you're with us coming into the new year. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of rough not being able to call into you for a couple of weeks, but like I said, it was a much well-needed hiatus. You gave us plenty of curated material, good interviews. I got to indulge in some of them, in your time away. I do have to say though, I come on this podcast with a heavy heart, as when I woke up on January 2nd, I heard about the absolutely horrendous terrorist attack in my hometown of New Orleans, on Bourbon Street, where I've spent many a nights partying, doing just what those people were doing. I grew up in that culture, and I know how sacred that place is, for the locals and what it means to us economically, just from a standpoint of worldwide how famous Bourbon Street is. And for this individual to commit such a horrendous act of evil, and every time I see that video of him turning that big pickup truck, they did have a measure to block that street off, but
Yeah.
clearly he had you know nothing but evil intent as he went around the barricade and proceeded to punch the gas and mow down every person in his sight. And that was a lot for me to take in because I mean, thank
It could
God,
have been you.
my friends, it
Yeah.
could have been me, it could have been my friends or close family members that I've spent many times. I mean, like I say, I had a lot of fond memories there, and that one hit very close to home. I mean, I kind of, feel what it feels like to be someone from New York during, 9/11 or, I mean, it really it impacted my city in a way that unfortunately we're going to have to be resilient, and
Here's
we
the worst
haven't
part
been
about it, Ray.
economically.
Here's
Yeah.
the worst part about it. He had two bombs planted, not using explosives that ISIS normally uses, and if that had gone off, the damage would have been so much worse. And that is something that we have to come to grasp with. This came so close to, I mean, 15 people's a lot, or 14 people's a lot of people. But if those two bombs had gone off, those pipe bombs were using an explosive that was a lot more lethal. And it seems like it could have been a lot worse. So, I mean, in a lot of ways, we have to count our blessings of what happened in New Orleans. It could have been a lot worse. And again, like you said, a lot of us, New Orleans for a lot of us is around the corner, right here in Southwest Texas. 4-hour drive, 5-hour drive, 4-hour and change
Yeah,
drive from
he came
Houston.
from Houston. He
Yeah.
drove from Houston. That's another thing, and it's like, why does this person? That's why, like I said, I felt a personal connection to it
Hmm.
because I live in Houston, and I'm from New Orleans, and it just makes me think like, what would possess a person to come from Houston, drive to New Orleans with explosives, and it almost seems like he changed his mind. It's like because there's no way he would have had an opportunity to set up those bombs. I was talking to my father, having a really deep conversation about it, and he brought up the point that you said as well. Unfortunately, as devastating as it was when he mowed those people down with a pickup truck, if he would have carried out the other plan, which would have been to set up the bombs, we could have really saw something, like a Oklahoma City bombing or
Oh
something.
yeah.
That was,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that would have been even more terrible, and then they would have had to rebuild the damage from the bombs.
Yep.
And all those buildings are old and historic, and they already
Yep.
take a lot of beatings every year from storms and
Hurricanes. Oh yeah.
hurricanes and whatnot
Yeah.
and termites, you name it. It's a very fragile infrastructure down there. So yeah, I agree with you, Egberto. But you know,
But
I also want to ask all my right wing brothers to stay vigilant because this sob, we call the president, you know, elect. I call him the president elect.
hmm
He used this as a opportunity to push his anti-immigrant agenda, which he didn't know diddly squat about the man, and basically put it all on. Oh, we let these immigrants in. The man was an American citizen. He was an army veteran. He was from Texas. Shut that noise down. Don't listen to it. Don't believe the hype. Don't even let it. Don't even let that be.
yeah,
I'm
he's
just
not an
asking
immigrant. He
everybody
is an
who's
American
listening.
citizen. Yeah, he's an American citizen,
I'm just
born
asking.
red-blooded. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and I'm just asking everybody, just just don't be ignorant like him and believe that that had nothing to do with the immigration that he's trying to claim is the downfall of our country. And we're gonna find out more about. I want to know why these two army veterans. That is an intriguing fact as well.
On
But
the
as
same
with
day.
the dude who
Yeah.
blew up the Tesla. in front of the Trump Tower in Las Vegas. So,
I tell you,
I
there's something
mean,
that got to me. But I don't know if you saw the press conference right after that bombing, but the FBI went out of their way to say, "Oh, he had no animosity towards Trump." That's what that's what they wanted to put out there. The FBI did, and they gave you a list of what he said in his memorandum or whatever he wrote. There's nowhere that he said he didn't have animosity towards Trump. But this is what I'm telling you about our media, about a lot of these. If you want to say something and you are not going to research what you say, it makes investigating something more difficult. I mean, it was just sad that they did that. But here's the other thing. We have some other messaging for our right wing brothers and sisters. Elon Musk has thrown the first gauntlet, where Elon Musk has said now that Americans are not good enough for his company. In effect, he said he must have the H1S1, the H1B1 visas because, as Ramaswamy said, our culture does not lend ourselves to science and otherwise. So what these people really believe about their followers are coming out right now, and they don't have much. They don't. They just think they are there to be used. And I think as time goes on, we're going to see that over and over again. That is why Trump wants to get everything in one big omnibus bill, one big reconciliation, because after they do that one big reconciliation, he's paid all his debt to the wealthy folk, and he doesn't care if people hate him. He's a one-term president, right?
well, I'd like to hope so. If we don't see any of that Project 2025 crap, but we already know what's coming down the pike. We got to be vigilant and just all hands on deck here.
All hands
I
on
just
deck. Anyway,
I'm gonna
go ahead.
I'm gonna say one last thing. That's controversial. I kind of agree with Vivek Ramaswamy a little bit about
Hmm.
our culture, but the difference between Vivek Ramaswamy and me
Yeah,
and
I do.
Elon Musk
I'm going
is
to
the
tell you. I don't
difference
want you.
is
Wait. I don't want you to say it. I want to tell you what your difference is. You want to get people where they need to be. You want to improve their lives. You want to ensure that the education they don't currently have, that we pass the laws necessary to ensure everybody has equal access to success. While Ramaswamy and the other clown Musk doesn't care about people.
thank you. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, and
I
clearly
thought as
their
much.
intentions are not pure. So
Thank you, my
I'm gonna let
brother.
you go on with the show.
I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody. Welcome aboard, Bruce Pollard. He was broken in the head. Yes, he was, Bruce. Joe from LA. How you doing, my beautiful Joe? We also have Vrij MCP. She says, so waiting to say to MAGA he doesn't need you and more, and you will feel his wrath on our country. Told you so. And you know what? We're going to say that. But you know what? To my MAGA folks, I want to tell you one thing. And I mean this from the depths of my heart. I want you to have a place to land. I really do. Because I want you on our team. When I say our team, I mean on the progressive team that's trying to uplift everybody. All that hate that they placed into you, you're going to see that that was really hate towards you by them. Ramaswamy laid down the gauntlet. You are not good enough. Musk laid down the gauntlet. H1B visas, I will fight to the death for it, he says. Imagine that. He's going to fight for the death. You guys are anti immigrant. Many of you are. And he's saying, not so fast. Not so fast. Okay, so we'll see. Anyhow, this is what I did this morning for this January 6th anniversary. I want you guys to take a listen of this, and then we'll take it on the other side. The first thing I want to do is to tell folks today's January 6th. Today, in our lifetime, and all of the people listening to the program today, January 6th, 2021 was the first time in our lifetime, anybody that is living today, that we actually had American terrorists attempt a coup on the United States. And we need to use those words because that's what it was. American terrorists. Terrorists is defined by people who terrorize in order to change political systems or to change an outcome, etc. That's terrorism. We had an act of domestic terrorism in this country on January 6th. They attempted something like this back during FDR's time, if I recall correctly, where billionaires as well had tried to take over. I think it was actually before FDR that tried to take over. I don't remember the story completely, but this is the first time in our lifetime, whether you're 100 years old or 0.1 years old right now, we lived through terrorists, American terrorists, attempting to overthrow through a coup the United States government. That is what occurred. There are thousands or over 1,000 people who have subsequently gone to jail for attempting that coup. But the masterminds of the coup has been re-elected president of the United States. There are many reasons for this. One, it's an inept Justice Department that was too timid to protect us all from a thug who attempted to overthrow this country. An inept Justice Department that has continued its ineptitude year after year of its existence in this country, in this administration. That's number one. And number two, a media that gave Donald Trump and his conspirators plausibility and gave the alternate reality that allow a lot of innocent Americans to sit there and believe that somehow what their eyes told them on TV on January 6th, what their representatives said on the floor when they all condemned Donald Trump on January 7th, that somehow all of that was not real. And they've convinced a lot of gullible Americans that wasn't real, or there was some effect. That wasn't a terrorist attack. That was just people expressing their views that an election that wasn't stolen was stolen. That is the reality. And what we have shown to the rest of the world, and I know most Americans don't read papers overseas. They don't read how we are viewed overseas because we are omnipotent. We are the strongest nation. We are the biggest, baddest thing out there. So we don't have to worry about what other people think about us. But those days are going to be coming to roost us in the long run. But the fact of the matter is, nobody expected. They saw in 2016 the election of Donald Trump as an aberration by an aberration within the Constitution that allows somebody that most people didn't vote for to still become elected. 2024 was not an aberration. It showed a gullible population. It showed a population that wasn't only gullible for those who voted gullibly, but it showed a population that couldn't overcome their own prejudices. And I don't care what anybody may want to counter it as, because we have done the necessary tests of the population to show these issues. When you take the name of Donald Trump and the name of Kamala Harris, off the policies, and you give American a list of what Trump said he's going to do and a list of what Harris said she's going to do. Overwhelmingly, people choose the policies Harris supports. Harris says she's going to implement. And as soon as you put the pictures on, Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, you get the result that it goes from an overwhelming support for Kamala to sort of a 50-50 support, in which case it was anybody's game. And this election was very close. 1.5 points. And, well, of course, a whole lot of progressives stayed home for various other reasons. And a lot of women who will be hurt by the policies of the Trump administration chose to vote their prejudices. Their prejudices superseded their well-being. Their prejudices superseded their well-being. So I am very much in concert with Brother Howard and Jack when we talk about how could we do this. Well, it was a conspiracy of media, the gullibility of a group. It was a failed Justice Department, you name it. But in effect, it was that our systems failed. Our system failed. We have a convicted criminal as president. And now all folks are having to go lick the ring of the convicted felon. That is who America is today. But again, it's a democracy. And, like I've said all of the times, a democracy look, we have a lot of times that we go out there and say, oh, we need to ensure that all these countries around the world are democracies. No, that's not true. Democracy requires a certain amount of education, an educated population. Let me give an example. If I have 10 bushels of corn to feed my community, and I say, we use 9 bushels, and people are satisfied, but they're still a bit hungry. That 10th bushel is there to plant for the next year. And educated folks will vote that, yes, we need to not use that bushel of corn. An uneducated bunch will not see the future, cannot rationalize the future, and will say, no, we still have a bit of hunger left. Let's use that damn bushel now. And we'll make sure and terrorize folks to use that bushel right now. And you use that bushel, and then for the next year, your whole community dies. Now, in a society like that, a strong man saves the society. A strong woman saves the society. And America had grown up to actually earn being a democracy where the civilization can still survive, because the mindset of the masses were always that of an educated mass in the aggregate. But we're losing that. And you know how we're losing that? Even the people that you voted for. Elon Musk goes out and he wants the H-1B visas because he says Americans are not good enough. I beg to differ, but Elon Musk is telling his folks in Appalachia, Elon Musk, that former apartheid South African that is now an American citizen but originally came here, quote unquote, supposedly not a very legal resident at some times, but now an American citizen. He says that he will fight to the death for H-1B visas. And Ramaswamy, his partner in what is it called, Goj or whatever they call it, says Americans are not good enough. These are the people that support the guy you elected. And Donald Trump has sided with him on H-1B visas. And guess what? Look, I am an immigrant. And, I love America. America gave me a lot of opportunities. I went to, I'd say thank you to America. Thank you for having the University of Texas, one of the best schools in this country, right? But I made the commitment to America. I naturalized. I became a citizen, and I did my part, and I paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, yes, in taxes, etc. My keep, did my part. But what Elon Musk and his crew would like to do is just, by the way, an engineer from South Africa, an engineer from India, an engineer from Vietnam is no better or worse than an engineer from America. There's only one difference. You bring in an H-1B visa into America, they are willing to work for a lot less than an engineer who went to the University of Texas or the A&M University or to Harvard or whatever. And just as Elon Musk got 2,400 or so H-1B visas, he laid off, I believe it was 2,400 folks in Austin. That's who you supported, folks. But the thing about it is the media, as opposed to highlighting these issues, Bezos controlled the Washington Post, who forbid the Washington Post from endorsing Kamala Harris. And another billionaire controlled the LA Times, who forbid them from pointing out that they wanted Kamala Harris, right? So America is left uninformed. They didn't really know that Elon Musk, in his Doge capability, is simply trying to guarantee the over $10 billion that you, the taxpayers, give him in just one of his business models to, fly spaceships that still are not doing the things that we did with the Apollo, with Skylab, with the space station, for a Starlink system in which he really didn't invent or anything like that, or for the electric cars that he was just talking about. And you, the American people, you, the American taxpayer, you're going to give Elon Musk those billions of dollars as he is a part of Doge to go ahead and cut the policies and programs that support you. He's going to cut the policies and programs that support you so he can continue to get and suck on the you know what of the government because that's how he survives. He's a welfare recipient. He doesn't tell you that. Elon Musk doesn't tell you. He's a welfare recipient. All his money for all these technologies come from whom? You and the government. Welfare recipient. And now in order to get tax cuts, etc., he's going to work with Donald Trump to do it. And then he says, you are not good enough. So he's going to bring a whole bunch of folks from these different countries. And I don't have a problem with bringing folks from different countries, but let's do it in a fashion that everybody pay their dues. As an immigrant myself, I paid my dues. Now he wants, you know who else pay their dues? You see, all those undocumented immigrants who are out there in the fields picking the tomatoes and the watermelons and the melons and all these things that gives you an affordable price in the grocery stores. Those guys, we need to legalize those guys papers because we're dependent on them. But even that they want to make money on. And how are they going to make money on that? Well, they want to create concentration camps to put all these undocumented low-level workers into those concentration camps. And those people who make the concentration camps are going to be paid for with your dollar. And a lot of their friends are going to make money with those concentration camps. And then, of course, the farmers are going to pay Donald Trump a bribe so that he look another way when it's time to pick the watermelons, when it is time to pick the peaches, when it is time to pick the fruit. It's the biggest scam. This entire thing is the biggest scam. And you know who pays? You do. So I'm glad that Brother Howard and Brother Jack took me off kilter because I think these are things that needed to be said. Absolutely things that needed to be said. Absolutely things that needed to be said. All right, who do I have the honor of speaking with at this point in time?
This is Joe from LA.
Hey, Joe, how are you doing, my dear lady?
I'm okay, thank you.
Talk to me.
I love what you said about the people who pay in and don't get paid back. I also wanted to add, though, from, the trailer's trash, white Republican background I come from, a lot of these people, including myself, when I was younger, take being paid under the table job. And sometimes we have to pay in and we don't get back either. We take the minimum wage and we don't get Social Security nor any kind of recording on we don't get anything paid back for retirement. And white people don't realize that's what they're doing to them.
That is such an interesting thing. And the fact of the matter is a lot of our undocumented immigrants and other folks are holding up the social security, are actually the ones that are keeping the social security system more solvent than it would
Yes,
have
they are.
otherwise been. And people don't.
Absolutely.
And this is where, I always talk about how a lot of times, Joe, prejudice can make you do things that harm you. And like I had an interview today with the former Republican Party chair of Florida. I'm going to probably play that interview sometime this week. And we were talking about why Trump won, etc. And I pointed out to him, I don't know if you were on the show this morning. I pointed out what I pointed out on the show this morning, where I told him, look, when they remove Kamala and Trump's name from policies, and then they start to enumerate what Kamala wanted to do and what Trump wanted to do, the people overwhelmingly supported Kamala's policy. But once you slap her name on it and Trump's name, it goes from overwhelming support to 50-50. And that's what we had, a near 50-50 election. And it's a shame.
I
So
didn't hear it, but I agree.
yeah,
You start too early for someone in Los Angeles. Oh
well,
my God!
I am actually impressed that you are on in LA, because I'm like, oh wow, she's on. I saw this morning, I saw Joe on, and I'm like, this can't be Joe from California. And then I saw your
Yeah,
message, and I'm
it's
like,
long
yeah, this
COVID.
is
It causes sleep reversal.
yeah, this is Joe from California. But anyway, look, thank you, sis. Anything else you want to add before we go to the
Thank
other video?
you.
Thank
No,
you very
thank you
much
for
for
what you're doing.
Thank you so kindly for calling in. All right, folks, let me go ahead and get to the messages on the chat. Bruce says he was broken in the head. That is a terrorist. Bree says, so waiting to say, MAGA, he doesn't need you anymore. I think I read that one already also. Hey, Yvette Avery Herod is in the house. Happy New Year, Yvette. I hope you had a good New Year. Carol Scholl Kotwitz. I think this is the first time I'm seeing Carol in the chat. Welcome to Politics Done Right, Carol. If you're still there, just give me a thumbs up or something. We also have Paul Fleming. I think I called out Paul. He says he actually went to college in Georgia, Georgia State, and lived in Cobb County, DeKalb County. Then he moved to Texas. Oh, you're talking about what's his name? I don't even know his name. Let's see. Ford, Intuit, Toyota, and Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America each give $1 million. Other major donors that made January 6 related pledges included Goldman Sachs, General Motors, Bank of America, AT&T. All of them are doing their payback. They're getting ready for their paybacks. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying that literally. These guys know exactly what they're doing. I'm not saying this just to be throwing it out as hot air. These guys know exactly what they're doing. That is why Elon Musk went up to Mar-a-Lago. That is why Jeff Bezos went up to Mar-a-Lago. That is why the guy from Facebook, Zuckerberg, went up. That's the reason why. It's all a game, and we all have to be careful now because again, Zuckerberg controls the internet with Facebook. Musk controls some of the airwaves with Starlink, etc. And a lot of folks don't know Starlink will be maybe the back end to certain things as well. We also have to be careful with the guy from Atlanta who controls the LA Times. We have to be careful with Zin from Google Alphabet. And what we have to watch what these guys are doing. And for those of us that are doing programming that's fairly controversial, we have to watch because I can guarantee you right now I already get throttled. I can guarantee you there's going to be quite a bit of throttling. And with AI today, you can just have AI monitor a conversation and AI knows exactly what you're talking about. And if you make the list, voila, Mr. Patrick Wagner is in the house. How you doing, Patrick?
Doing great. How was your holidays?
Actually, great. Look, I had a great Christmas. I don't know if you listened to the program this morning, but it was our first Christmas in 5 years. Like I was telling the audience this morning, the worst 5 years over the last 5 years. It started with my mother-in-law getting a stroke on Christmas Day at our big Christmas stuff here, and it was downhill from there. Ashley got a stroke 30 days later. She got another stroke, 16 months later. And in between that time, my best friend got a massive stroke. I lost about 5 people over that time. So this was the first time we got together, and it was great. Let me just tell you that it just felt good. It was a small gathering this time, but it just felt good. How was yours, my brother?
Yeah, it was good. My dad's still alive, which is surprising, and he had a really good
Excellent. I
day.
got that
So
message from you a few weeks ago. Yeah.
yeah, at while we were, I didn't want to take up too much of your time. I was trying to make a short phone call, but I'm glad things are going well. I wanna ask all the people that prescribe to the trickle down theory how Elon Musk is fitting into this, because every business he buys, he fires 33% of the staff.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about how that's creating jobs. And then if he does well, he gets what is it, 10, 11 digit bonuses. But if he's not doing well, it wasn't his fault. He just fires everybody that he thinks is responsible. Well, if he's a good business leader and he's so good at running businesses, why does he have to wait until the end of the year, and then why is he firing 20, 25% of his staff instead of training them? If he's a really good businessman and he's intelligent, he should be able to come up with ways to train these people. And the way the economy was going last year, the fact that he couldn't make as much money as he planned and has to lay all these people off, but he's still the richest man in the world, has me asking a lot of questions. And
Actually,
then,
before you continue, I think those are
yeah,
prescient questions because here's the deal. If you are a good manager, you don't really have to do a lot of firing, right? Because you are nurturing, you're building a group. This stuff when Donald Trump likes to say, "You're fired." Firing, it doesn't show that you are a good boss or that you are tough or not. When you can nurture somebody, because everybody is nurturable. When you nurture, that's what shows a strong person altogether. So, yeah, I mean, but remember also, Elon Musk doesn't create anything, nor does he know much. I mean, a lot of people like to talk about him as a genius. He's a genius at capitalism, he's a genius at being a parasite. That's it. He knows how to be a very effective parasite, making a lot of money off of the labor, resources, and the innovation of others. That's who Musk is. A lot of people can't quite get it because of how they were indoctrinated, but that's who he is. Sorry to interrupt you on that one, Patrick, but please continue.
oh no, I appreciate the candor. Um, his Tesla Corporation, it took him what 2 or 3 years to come out with a truck that's a complete failure.
Yeah.
Um, and then he's taken deposits on a roadster that nobody's ever even seen, and I think that's been 3 years in the making. And then Twitter can't even launch videos anymore. Nobody works there.
Oh, I didn't know they couldn't
The
launch
the
videos anymore. Wow.
well no we whenever he tries he fails, but
Okay.
he's worked at it several times, and then every single time it takes it never launches on time, and it's problematic. And
Oh, you're talking about his live videos. Yeah, he's never gotten it right. Yeah, you're correct about that. In fact, not even when he did the interview with the president did it go right.
yeah, and you would think an intelligent individual would have maybe practiced a little bit, or have an ability to learn how to do something like that. But I was just curious how everybody thinks, how he's fitting into the trickle down theory, and how he is creating jobs for all of us, and how smart he is, and how good of a leader he is.
Well,
I'm just it's bizarre that what Americans will think about a
they're going to
billionaire.
find out a
I don't
lot,
see.
Patrick. Patrick, they're going to find out a lot pretty soon. And I think they're going to find out sooner than later. And that is the reason why Donald Trump wants to wrap up the entire policy in one huge omnibus reconciliation bill. Because when he's done, he's got nothing. He has nothing for MAGA. He has nothing for MAGA. He's going to release a lot of criminals on day one. He's going to arrest a lot of immigrants that aren't immediately in need and lock them up and pay some of his friends to do to house them, and then it's over.
I,
MAGA's gonna get nothing.
yeah, after he empties the treasury for his friends, it'll be over.
Right. MAGA MAGA
That's all.
gets
That's all
nothing.
he's doing.
And the funny thing about it is, I think by then some of them will smarten up. But the truth of the matter is, MAGA is going to get nothing. But anyway, thank you very much for the call, my dear brother, and I'll see you tomorrow morning if you're there, okay?
Yes, sir. You have a great day.
You too, sir. All right, let's see what else we got here. Lee Grant says Kamala having to swear Trump in is the ultimate. No, I mean, she lost the election and she's going to do her job. I notice that there's not an insurrection, there's not a coup attempt. We understand that whenever there's a contest, somebody wins, somebody loses. And when that person loses, they accept defeat. I think she ought to be very proud in that she's already made sure that Donald Trump is now the 47th president of the United States, albeit a convicted felon. Melanie Keelan says late. Where's the did we? You didn't miss the Ask Egberto anything on Saturday? I didn't have one. Let me tell you, I got a lot done over those 2 weeks. I think I had a show or two in between there, but I had about 5 interviews. I did a whole lot of housekeeping with regards to the back end of our stuff. We're now, folks, live on TikTok. We're live on Instagram. We're live on Substack. We're live on Telegram. We're live on Twitch. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So I think we're live on 8 channels. Let me see if I missed any. That's YouTube, that's Facebook, I missed one. LinkedIn, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, Telegram, Substack, and X. So we are on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different live streams right now concurrently. So no matter where you're at, if you want to check us out at 6 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon, all central time, you can choose any one of those avenues. And we are on streaming. And of course, at 6 a.m., we're also on KPFT 90.1 FM on Pacifica Network over the air as well, concurrently over the air. So yeah, the idea is that we want to be all over the place. If one shuts down, we still have the other, etc. We still have our newsletter, the Substack newsletter that we're putting out. I do want to ask all of you that are listening right now. Our Substack newsletter subsidizes all the stuff that does our multi-streaming. It subsidizes, the idea is to subsidize just about everything. We don't have the number, it's not there yet. That is the expectation, that our newsletter plus our membership on Spotify and YouTube, those 3 combined, we're hoping that eventually they will have enough mass to carry the whole production. Right now, I'm still in the red, but you can help us out by going on Substack and becoming a paid subscriber to our network. And what do you get for being a paid subscriber on Substack? You get our newsletter. All our newsletter has 2 pieces. A summary of our videos that we actually have in the Substack, or a general summary. And the paid users get paid supporters get an expanded, probably between 1,000 and 1,500 word essay that has link backs, etc. Also, you get a chance to read all 5 of my current books online at Substack, and every new book that I write, you will have access to it. And you also get the final copy of our podcast without any commercials or ads or anything in it, directly on our platform as well on Spotify. So a paid subscriber, we give you a lot of little nitpicks to as the justification to become a paid subscriber on Substack. Or you can decide you may want to become a paid subscriber on YouTube or a paid subscriber on Spotify. But I tell you, the best deal is a paid subscriber on Patreon or Substack, because you get just about the way we control, you get just about everything that we have to offer. So please consider going to Substack. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter is how you get there. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, and subscribe to our Substack. And if you do that, you get access to all that stuff. All right, I got one more video to show, and this one is about my daughter and something that she had to say to us immigrants, on Christmas Day at dinner. Check this out. My daughter's Christmas dinner comment: why do immigrants at this table have the most faith in America? We go ahead every Christmas there. We also have a whole, prior to on 2019 and prior, we always had a ton of friends over for Christmas, and we'll have the big dinners and everybody bring their stuff. And it was like a great, great time. 30, 40. At one time, we actually had like near 60 something people, and, different foods from all over, etc. On 2019, my mother-in-law got a stroke on Christmas Day at our big feast. with everybody coming in and giving stuff and all of that. And it's never been the same since. After her stroke, 30 days later, my daughter got a stroke. And a year and a half later, my daughter got a second stroke. Christmases for the last 5 years have been horrendous for all practical purposes. I had a horrendous 5 years with all kinds of things going wrong. Lost my best friend to a massive stroke. It was a crazy time over the last 5 years. So this was the first year that we had Christmas at my place, and we had a small one. It was 4 couples and my daughter, 9 of us. And one was a few was from Jamaica, a few were from Panama, a few were from here, the United States. It was about a third, somewhere around there. And we were talking politics as usual about Donald Trump, etc. And, after myself and a friend from Jamaica started to talk about what we hope to do and how, we are intent, even as Trump is the president, we are going to work hard to make sure things continue to get better. Out of the blue, my daughter just said, around this table, there are several immigrants. Why is it that you all have the most hope in America? And she's my daughter. She's a half Panamanian, half American, and she has lived, in high school in her community here, college in several environments, etc. And she just said, I noticed that all over. Immigrants are the ones who always have this great hope that you can change America, that America is going to get better and better every time. What's the evidence for that? And after she said that, well, Beyonce was on the halftime, so they all got up and left. And Norman, my buddy from Jamaica, looked at me and said, did you hear your daughter? He's from Jamaica. And I'm like, yeah. He said, that is profound. What is it that you think she meant by that? I said, she meant her lived experiences. And in her mind, as a millennial, she has a viewpoint from the time she was birthed. Because again, remember, we came here in the 80s and things where we still had a thinking country. We still had a progressive country, a country getting more progressive until Ronald Reagan started the decline. And I'm like, she came after that. So all she have seen in her lifetime is an America in constant decline. Professor Richard Wolff came out with Capitalism Hits the Fan, and he showed where we have been living on borrowed time, and he gave the numbers to show all of that. And I'm saying that's all she's lived, Norman. That's all she's lived. But it's on us. It is on us not to make the mistakes of what the baby boomers have done to the Gen Xers and the Gen Xers. The older Gen Xers are complicit as well, but to the Gen Xers and to the millennials and to the Gen Zs, we have wronged them. We have elected a whole bunch of selfish thugs into these offices that pretty much made their lives hell. That's what we have done. And it's on us to move forward. It's on us to show millennials like my daughter that it's not about hope. You don't have hope. You make results. You don't depend on hope. I hope things get better. I make things get better. You go out there and fight to make things get better. So for those of you who are sitting back there and saying, well, Trump is president again, do you think that's going to deter me from trying to do what's right, for trying to make sure people are aware, from trying to make sure people know what's happening? Hell no. If whether on the radio, on the internet, on emails, or whether I have to walk around in a car with pieces of paper like the muckrackers did back in the early 1900s, we will not cede this country to the billionaires. We will not cede this country to anyone whose sole intent is to make us indentured servants. Because we're pretty damn close right now. When you look at the separation of the amount of money that we have relative to the wealthy in this country, we've already begun indentured servitude. Every year it gets a little bit deeper. By the time you realize you're an indentured servant, it'd be too late if you're not aware of it now. And that's my goal. My goal is to let us know we can do something about it. Even with the criminal in chief that we have that will be running this country effective January 20th. All those executive orders are coming down January 20th. They're just executive orders. They've not been passed by Congress. We have to live through hell for a little bit, but we have to survive. Yes, we have to survive. Yes, we have to survive. Anyway, folks, new limerick. Man, this is the first limerick of the day, and I am excited. The first limerick of the day from our poet laureate. Who's our poet laureate? The one and only Tom Zornick. Here we go. Health insurance companies are deceptive and stealthy, making profits priority and executives wealthy. By denying claims of critical need to satisfy their insatiable greed, the only system it seems that would be fair is one that provides universal medical care. A government program affordable and single payer. In this, there should be no dispute or distress. Americans' independence is vital for our survival. So life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness requires the right and responsibility of every individual to be mentally and physically fit and healthy with quality coverage for all and nothing less. That's all from the one and only Tom Zornick. This guy can come up with the right words anytime, all of the times. Anytimes, all of the times. Substack won't let me install the app. It should. I mean, I don't know what the problem would be, but hey, what can I say? Keep trying, my dear sister. Francis Landrum, welcome to Politics Done Right. A very wise friend of mine, born in 1910, a mixed race woman, always would say, hope died in a basket of despair. I didn't understand back then, but I do now. Action is what is needed. There you go, girlfriend. Francis, oh, is Francis a female name or a male name? Frances. If I did it wrong, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. Joe says, hello, said the cat to the curious mouse, who was still young and full of wonder. Joe, let it shiver. Are you trying to contest our brother Zarnik, Miss Joe? Because I think brother Zarnik has already gotten the poet laureate. But you know what? We could do it this way: poet laureate and poet laureate. Uh, as poet laureate, what's the other word that I want to use? Maybe somebody will tell me what I can use. Anyway, let's see what else we got here. Mike Cisak says, Maywood, what is your definition of trickle down economics? Don't undermine our intelligence here, Mike Cisak. Come on, brother. Everybody in this room knows what trickle down economics is. I mean, trickle down economics, Reaganomics, voodoo economics, it's called by several names. But the one thing we do know about trickle down economics is the damn thing does not work. And anybody doubt it, go to my website, egbertowillies.com, and look up Richard Wolff and check out Capitalism Hits the Fan. I not only have the video there, I think I gave a little explanation as well, if I recall correctly. I am cool with street poet. All right, street poet. So we have our poet laureate and we have our street poet from Joe. All right, Lee Grant, did I see something? Melanie says she's late. I think I read that one already. Mike says it's bizarre that leftists think conservatives are for trickle-down economics when it's a leftist who push. Oh, God. Now you know that our brother CSAC lives in an alternate reality. This is a guy who likes to call Hitler not a fascist, but a socialist, a lefty. We all know Hitler was to the right and was a fascist. Now he says trickle down economics is a lefty thing when we know in our recent term it is Ronald Reagan who popularized trickle down economics. Who's Ronald Reagan? A Republican that moved the country rightward. Mike Cisak, come on, man. Can you really no puedes pensar, hermano mío? Vamos, tienes que pensar, hermano. All right. Tom C says everyone can and should be poet laureate. More poetry, please. More poetry, please. Anyway, what else have we got here? I think that's all we have. No, it was Bush Sr. who used it as a slur against Reagan. It wasn't a slur, it was a truth. And not only was voodoo there's a reason why Bush called it voodoo economics. One, Donald Trump, I mean, not Donald Trump, but Donald Trump is not all that far removed from Reagan in this case. Reagan promised that he was going to balance the budget, he was going to increase military spending, he was going to give tax cuts, he was going to leave Social Security alone. In other words, he's promising the same thing Donald Trump is promising, an impossibility based on the way our economic system works now. Of course, they could simply say we'll do all these things and just keep printing money. They don't even need to write bonds. They just need to update the ledger and spend. But I won't tell you what happens if they do that for too long. All right, let's see what else happens here. We are at about 1 minute left. If anybody wants to get in a quick call before we close this out, 281-823-7747, 281-823-7747. You got about 30 seconds to call. And if you call within 30 seconds, I'll take your call. Otherwise, we have to shut this baby down. I want to remind everybody, I'm going to start putting those books on the screen. Those of you who subscribe to our Substack get to read all those books that are scrolling on the screen right now. Free of charge. It is yours for becoming a paid subscriber of our Substack newsletter, which can be found at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I'm going to put that in there here. I have the link inside right now. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter will get you to our subscribe button for our newsletter. Please become a paid subscriber and realize that what you're doing, in as much as what we're giving you with the subscription, you are actually making sure that we can continue doing this, giving some truths, not only here, but at KPFT, not only at KPFT, but in our blogs and everywhere else, especially with a media that's currently on the take. You know that we can do. All right, let me read this from Tom Zarnik, who says, per Google, trickle-down economics is an economic theory that suggests that tax cuts and other policies that benefit the wealthy and businesses will eventually benefit the entire economy. Theory, the idea is that when the wealthy people and businesses have more money, they will invest in ways to create jobs and stimulate the economy. Policies, examples of trickle-down policies, tax cut for business and high-income individual, deregulation to lower costs for businesses, capital gains, break stamps, duty cuts, removing caps on salaries and bonuses. The term trickle-down is often used as a pejorative term by critics, and it should be a pejorative. Critics argue that trickle-down economics is a cynical ploy to line the pockets of the rich. And it's true. You don't want to create supply-side economics, which is trickle-down economics. You give it to the suppliers, and somehow they are going to magically know what you want. It's a lie. If you want a true democratic economy, let the consumer decide what he wants or she wants. And that's how you decide. Anyway, we're at 4:02 and I got to get out of here. Please consider becoming a paid subscriber of our Substack. Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I am getting out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics
done right.